Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of In Other Words with Danielle and Zara.
This is a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of different subjects, from being a lifelong learner to how childhood affects you. So in other words, we talk about all the things.
So Danielle, do you want to tell the people what we're talking about today?
Today,
also, I hope you like our new set. We're just changing things up these days.
Just for fun. Today we are talking about consumerism and materialism and what we think about all those things and what we can do about all those things.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I think it's an issue. I don't think anyone can say that they've mastered it and they don't deal with it, because it's literally embedded in every aspect of society and our mind.
Exactly.
But before we start going into its issues and stuff, I thought I'd just give like a definition, a non-dictionary definition.
A Zara definition.
So when I Googled materialism, it started talking about like physics and I was like,
that's not the one.
No. But materialism is placing
like value,
like overvaluing material things. So it's basically just an attachment to things. Like you love your car so much and you care for it so much.
Yes, you just love it.
So yes, it's just placing almost sometimes more value on things than you do people.
Yeah, or like your spirituality and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And then consumerism is just the need to consume. It's this constant desire to want new things. So I think it's different to materialism, and it's not so much placing value on things, but it's this innate need to have the newest, to have the best. So yes, we're going to talk about why that is just so tragic.
Indeed. So like we said, these things are literally everywhere. And I mean, one thing that's really stuck out to me is that, okay, even let's say if someone chooses to become a minimalist, whatever that means, often instead of just like stopping to buy things, like not buying things, they go and buy things that look more minimal. And it's like
everything's white and cream.
And it's like, if you choose to be something, then you need to go and buy things to go and suit that.
It's not minimalism at its core shouldn't be an aesthetic.
Exactly.
And if it is an aesthetic, then don't call yourself a minimalist. Say, I have a minimalist aesthetic. I completely agree with
so
you.
it's like, even if we say we're not going to buy more things or whatever, we still want to buy things so that it suits our aesthetic at the time. And also what I've seen a lot of brands do is that they kind of take movements or anything like that, and then
these good things,
these really good things, and then they like make products based on those things, and it says, hey, if you want to support these movements or whatever, then hey, buy our things. And it's like, you don't need to do that. So just for example, I know the Body Shop, and I mean, I love the Body Shop.
We do love the Body Shop.
They do a lot more good than harm, I think. But one of their things, their whole thing was like about self-love or whatever, and it said at the top like, oh, this is the self-love revolution, and it was all about buying their products though, so that you can love yourself. And it's like,
you can love yourself without buying their products.
Exactly. And it's so it's this linking self-care and self-love to buying things like buying skincare, body care, whatever.
Exactly. And I also think in that same vein, I feel the same way about churches sometimes. Is like, for me, the church should stand against everything contrary to consumerism and like materialism. And I mean, God says like, you can't love me and money, because money literally consumes you. And like, I'm not meaning to offend anyone, but you get these mega churches and it's all about these expensive lights and can we stream perfectly, and 100% I'm all for serving God in excellence, and I think that these are good things. But when it becomes about just needing stuff and wanting the best, then it can become very dangerous. Like, do we need a smoke machine?
No.
Are we in a club?
No, we do not.
We are in church. So I think that for me is an issue. And even like, okay, so I belong to this church and I'm proud about it, but here's all this merch. Like,
it's weird.
Why?
And like, if you just think about all the ways that money can be used to actually help people.
Yes.
And I mean, if you look at the Bible,
that's the function of the church.
Yeah, that's what it should be. It's for fellowship and to reach out to people and to help people. I mean, the Bible speaks so much about helping the poor, the orphans, widows, etc., etc. And it's like, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe we are. And I mean, I think mega churches also certainly
very
help
much
in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But I think when you're only choosing a church based on what it can give you, like you were saying,
it's that
earlier.
attitude of like, that's why I said it's like not only embedded in buying, it's almost who we've become. It's what like society has made us, where even like with a church, like the church is the body of Christ, but people come and they want to be moved by a message. They just want to come and receive and then leave. They don't want to serve, they don't want to love people, they don't want to get involved. It's just like, what can I get from this?
Exactly.
And I think we approach so much like in life like that. Like I think you said in one of our previous episodes, is everyone feels the need to monetize things.
It's
all
like,
the time. I want to do this, but what can I get from it?
Exactly.
And I think that's a very dangerous thing. And I feel like the more we become consumed with things, I think the more we begin to treat people like things. And I think that's a huge reason why women are objectified, because like we just see them as like, what can I get from you? And like,
but I mean, we'll talk about this in another episode for sure. But if we just look at I mean, not only pornography but also just movies, you know, it kind of makes out like women are these things for men to look at, for men to consume in that way, you know. It becomes like women's bodies become something for everyone else, but not for themselves. And it's like that. It also just links into gender-based violence, you know, and all that kind of thing. When people objectify women, then it's like, well, you're not even a human.
Yes.
Anyway, this is going on a bit of a tangent now, but I feel like this needs to be said. But
we just like, and it's not only like guys that do it. I think even in women, like, we're like, I'm looking for Mr. Right. What can I get? What can I get?
Exactly.
But it's like, okay, what can I give?
Exactly.
Like, Mr. Right is not a thing to complete me or to like add to my life. It's like, also, what can I give? But we'll go back to things specifically. Something that I wanted to talk to you about and also like discuss and get your opinion on is holidays.
Oh, yes.
So Christmas, Valentine's Day, birthdays, Easter.
Right. So Christmas and Easter are like huge. Even Valentine's Day. It's like these 3 holidays. I can't even remember the numbers, but I mean the amounts of things that people buy, the amounts of money that people spend. It is insane. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to buy things like for yourself, to give to other people. I love Christmas time. I like to get gifts. I like to give gifts. It's a good time. But I think it just becomes an issue when you're only thinking about I need to buy so much that I can give to everyone, and it's like, do they actually need it? Will they actually use it? And it's also like, what are the meanings of these holidays really? So Christmas, I mean, if you're Christian, then you celebrate Christmas as the birth of Jesus Christ. If you're not, I mean, it wasn't originally a Christian holiday, but anyway, it's like it holds
great significance for
a lot of people, and for Christians. And I think it kind of just, it never really makes sense to me why people spend such a hectic amounts of money on gifts and often things that people literally won't use the next year. And like the same goes with Easter. And I mean, with Easter, I feel like
it's a little bit better. Less.
It's
like more
just like you're just buying chocolates, and fair enough, everyone loves chocolate.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And even Valentine's Day, you know, the idea that you have to spend however much money to show your partner on one day of the year that you love them. Yeah,
I think for me, like, I've been single on Valentine's Day for so long, but for me, like, Valentine's Day, like, let's celebrate love, but why is that equated to things?
No, exactly.
Like, I think giving of gifts can be like, it is one of the 5 so-called love languages. But this idea, especially, I think there's a lot of pressure on guys, weirdly enough.
Definitely.
Like, it's all about diamonds and chocolates and flowers, and it's like, why?
Oh, another thing, like, now that you're just talking about diamonds.
Freaking engagement rings. Yes, I actually wanted to bring that up.
So much money. Like, what do they say? You should spend 3 paychecks,
something like that.
Ridiculous. Anyway, like, why do you need to spend so much money on a ring to show that you're going to marry someone?
Yes.
And like, obviously, I love weddings. You know,
I love weddings.
Marriage is a great time, but I've never been married. This is just my opinion.
Yes.
But I've really been thinking about it, and if you just look back at how people have become so obsessed with diamonds. Diamonds literally don't really mean anything.
It's wrong.
Diamonds, yeah, literally. And I think it started, which was it? Was it De Beers? I think so.
That's the mining company. But I don't know.
Anyway, one of the diamond companies. And they started this whole thing like, oh, if you love your girlfriend, if you want her to marry, then you must give her a diamond.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't always been a thing. It's a relatively new thing in our society.
Yes.
And it's weird how women, not just for example, also place such an emphasis on how big the diamond is.
Yes, it's like almost like
it's weird.
You need to show people. And for me, like, okay, if it's your style, if it's a style thing, okay. But for me, I've always thought this is something, okay, granted it's not your wedding ring, but a lot of people wear engagement ring with their wedding ring.
Yes.
It's like you're going to wear this every single day of your life.
No, exactly.
Like, why would you want this big? Is it to show people?
Yeah.
Is it? And I think the same for a wedding, actually. Like,
yeah.
I think it's perfectly okay to want your dream wedding. But when it becomes this thing where it just needs to be this extravagant event to show off, like the older I'm getting, and I'm not old, but even just seeing people getting married during COVID and stuff, the more I realize that, like,
you don't need to have so many things.
No. And it's wedding. Like, I don't know, it's almost special if you can keep it as small as possible and
intimate.
Like, yeah. So I just think, even the wedding industry, the amounts of money people spend on weddings stresses my life
I know.
out.
It's crazy. And it's like these are things that you don't actually need.
No.
You know, it's all just, I mean, it's fun to have a big party. I mean,
yes,
I love that.
We are all about the big parties. Invite us to all your weddings.
You better. But when it comes to, like, you really are just making a commitment to the person that you love, right?
Yes.
And it's just become this whole thing like, oh, I can't get married yet because I don't have money to fund a massive wedding. And it's like, that's not what it's about.
No, please. And the reality is, you go, like, anyone who gets into debt because of a wedding, for me, that's
foolishness.
Like, not great to start your marriage.
Not great at all.
And even matric dances.
Right. They've become so expensive.
Like thousands and thousands of rand on a dress is wild.
And then hiring a car just to go to the venue.
And I mean, I did this.
Yeah, same.
But
it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't. So.
But it's just, these are all things that we've made,
placed like so much value on. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to celebrate and wanting to do these things. But like in your mind, you have to justify, like, is it worth spending this much money?
Yeah.
And I think the same applies for brands. Like, and again, like, both of us are guilty. We do have brand things.
Yeah, for sure.
But this need to, like, spend, let's just say I have 2 pairs of tackies. They're exactly the same quality, but because the one has a tick on it or a swoosh or whatever the hell you call it, no offense to Nike, sponsor me if you want to, it's all of a sudden more valuable. And I don't know, I think that's dangerous.
I completely agree.
And like the pressure, specifically of kids, I feel.
Oh yeah.
In schools, it's like, I have to have like the best of everything.
Yes.
And I just think of like how much pressure that must actually put on parents as well.
Because people don't have money for that.
No, and it's like, I look at the school we went to, and Durbanville's very much, it's a huge area. And I remember there are kids with loads of cash coming from very expensive, rich, wealthy families. The school's like semi-private at this point. But then also like me being typically very middle class, and then they're also kids like just because you gotta fill that good old affirmative action thingy for a school, so you know. So the reality is, like, we had all kinds of students, and I just like the pressure the kids are under to have brand names.
No, it's crazy.
And I just like, I think the more, like, the reason we speak about these things is that we hope that you get out of that mindset of needing these things.
Exactly.
Because they are not like important.
Yeah. I'm I was never really into brand things growing up, and still not. Like, the only branded things I really buy are shoes.
Yeah.
And that's hardly ever. Like, if I buy a pair of shoes, it must last me a good couple of years, and then I'll buy the next pair.
Yes.
That's just how my mind works. But also, like, my parents never really had, I'm not saying like we were poor or anything, but like, it was never money to spend on expensive clothes.
Yes.
And I certainly had like my fair share of nice clothes.
Yes.
But it was like from cheaper places, you know? So I never really understood the appeal to brands, and like even now it's like, it's kind of ugly to me. So
yeah.
And if you like it, then it's fine, but it never makes sense to me how the same piece of clothing, just because it has a certain brand on it, is just so much more valuable. And even if you look at some of these branded places, right? I mean, Nike or Nike, whatever.
I think it's actually Nike, but I often say Nike.
I say whatever comes more naturally. But they are not known for very ethical conditions in their factories towards their workers. Like, it's not good. And obviously even non-branded things are like that. But you just have to, you've got to think, is it worth spending all this money on this thing and placing so much emphasis on this thing when I know that so many people are suffering for it?
Yeah.
And that goes for so many things. And that's why I think it's so important. I will never say to anyone, don't buy anything unless you absolutely need it, because I mean, let's be real, it's nice to have nice things. It's nice, and you want to feel confident, you want to feel good, but then buy things that you know that you're going to wear for a very long time.
And I think that is actually something, I don't know, I feel like it's less an issue with male fashion, but I feel like female fashion changes
all the time,
so often. And even like, I don't know, maybe you can speak a little bit about trends, but it's a very strange concept, actually.
No, I know. I mean, I was actually thinking about it this week. The way I understand trends to work, so you get these, you know, the big designers, Chanel, whatever,
Gucci, Versace.
So they kind of set out these trends, and when you see things on the runway, it's like, oh, I don't know how it'll ever gets to the real life. But in reality, what then other companies do is they take elements from these new designs and they incorporate into like normal everyday clothing, and that happens every year or whatever. And it's like, who gets to decide what the new trends are? It's literally just these rich people,
and it's like celebrities.
They decide, this should come back into fashion. I'm sure there's some reason behind it. I don't have a fashion degree, or I don't know fashion history. But it just never really makes sense to me. And then everyone else feels kind of obliged to follow the trends.
And that's the issue, I think, is this need.
Exactly.
To be trendy, like everyone else, to be trendy.
Because then you end up just buying all these things, and guess what? Next year it's not going to be trendy anymore. No. And then where's it going? Are you going to carry on wearing it? And I think if you like something, you buy something if you really like it. That's always been my kind of thing. If I know that I'm going to wear it year after year, then I will buy it. That's just like always my mindset, because I also just don't want to waste my money.
I've never been an impulsive shopper, but I think that also comes as for me, like when I was very young, like my mom she was a single mom, so she struggled and she worked hard, and so she very much like forced that into me. But also when you're young and you start earning your own money, or for you, like not even having a job and having to be still reliant and be a student, you're a little bit less impulsive.
Exactly.
But like it becomes very different once you start earning money, and I think it's important you learn lessons young.
100%.
Because you don't want to get to a stage where the minute you're earning money, it's like, ooh, let me buy everything ever. Ever.
And it always just makes me sad that people want to only wear things that are trendy. Because like you should wear whatever the heck you want, right? And I often see people on social media saying, oh, I can't wait until is trendy again, or can we make this a trend, please? And it's like, just wear it. I don't know what the issue is.
Wear what you want and like let it make you feel good. Like clothing should always just be like expressive, and it's you. So.
And it doesn't mean that you should not go and like get a whole clothing haul off of or whatever, I don't know, Zaful or you know, those places.
Yes.
Like it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, but you buy those items that you know that you're going to like for a long time. And that's what's really important.
And then this is something that I will probably struggle with for the rest of my life. But how do we morally, like, almost how do we sleep at night? Knowing that we have all of this stuff and there are people that have nothing. Because I think both of us would consider ourselves relatively empathetic, compassionate people. Like, our hearts do break for those who have less. But yet we still continue to live the lives that we do.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what else can we do, really?
Yeah. So I'm just wonder, like, how do you think we justify that in our minds? Like, I ask myself that question as well.
But the thing is, I mean, when you consider everything, and I think one of the biggest problems in the world, people often go on about how, there's too many people on this earth, like, we don't have the resources for it. And it's like, we do actually. It's just all wasted.
That's the thing. We do have enough resources.
We have everything that we need. But the reality is that, like, the top 1% or whatever, the top whatever percent has it all, wastes it, doesn't give it to the people who actually need it. They don't have the money for it, or people literally just don't care. And then you just hear things about how, I mean, this is probably linked to another episode that we want to do, but how companies, instead of going and giving away the leftovers, like of food, they just throw it away. Or if they don't want like homeless people to wear their clothes, they literally just cut up the clothes. And it's like, what a waste, am I right? And it's all because it's like this idea that you don't feel like you don't want poor people to wear your clothing. It's just weird.
It's crazy.
And I'm sure there's for sure also like more business related reasons, but I just don't see how it's right. And the reality is, like, we as a consumer can only do so much. It's really just putting pressure on
bigger corporations. But in that same vein, we can't have the attitude of, like, it's not for us to fix.
Exactly.
Or I feel like, and I know that I've had this mindset before, but then when I realized I was going into ministry, it's not a mindset I could have any longer. But it's like, one day when I have enough money, I'll help people. But the reality is,
it's the small actions that actually count.
And I think one of those things, and you've kind of touched on it already, is like, and if this is genuinely something, like, as you're listening to this, you're like, damn, I need to fix myself, is don't buy more than you need.
Exactly.
And for me, I know that I have more clothes than I need.
Same.
So it's kind of like, I'm not going to actively go and shop and buy things. I know that I have enough. I know that, like, I'm gonna maybe get tired of wearing the same jerseys, but who the heck cares?
Exactly. Like,
I have a jersey, I can wear a different jersey for 2 weeks.
Like, and it becomes a people-pleasing thing. You know, that's
real,
the reality.
That's the issue. Often it's for other people.
Yeah, because how often do you want to wear an outfit again?
Yeah.
And you just think, I can't because that person's already seen me in it. So
and I've had that mindset.
You have a washing machine, do you not? Yeah. Like, you can
learn how to use it if you don't know.
You can rewear your clothing. And I think this also leads into the fact that the rise of social media influencers especially have kind of perpetuated this whole thing of needing to buy clothes. You see on YouTube all the time, whatever haul. And it's like, these people they either get sent a bunch of clothes or they just buy a bunch of clothes, and you already know they have so many clothes.
That's the thing. It's like wild to me, like that. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just like having this, like, a remembering. I saw it on Instagram. It was like a clip from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and Kim Kardashian was like, oh my word, like a free yoga class or a free something. That's so cool. And then, like, Scott was like, oh yeah, because you really needed that.
Yeah, you can't afford that.
Yeah, it's like, these are the people that get sent things.
Exactly. And even when influencers or whatever, often they'll do a closet clean out.
Yes.
And you see how much these people own, and it's crazy. And I mean, this is the reality of being like a social media influencer, I suppose, because brands want them to advertise them. And that's, like we spoke about in our unpopular opinion episode, like, this is how advertising is going to happen these days. But it's just wild to me that people can just own so much, and then we, as the influenced, like, we think, oh, I really like that, I should go buy that. And
it's all good looking at these people and judging them, but the reality is, I always say this, we're the one that puts them on the pedestal.
Exactly.
They're not going to be advertising brands if they don't have influence over people who are going to go now and support that brand.
But I mean, the amount of times, like, I've been on social media and I just see an ad on Instagram, I see someone promoting something on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, let me see if that's available in South Africa. That looks nice.
Yes, it's like, and I think that's another way that we could be a more like ethical or just like a more
conscious,
a conscious consumer is spend less time on social media.
Yes, 100%.
Because
I spend too much time.
You see things, and that like perpetuates this need for more things. And then I also think something that plays a big part of the kind of consumer you are is the people you spend time with. And so for me, I don't spend a lot of money on something like clothes because I was raised where my mom was very much like she can't justify spending huge amounts of money on clothing. And I also think when you are in groups where other people have more or they're
always buying things.
Yes, you feel this need to fit in. It very much becomes I need to have this, I need to have that. And I think something that I've always, like, for example, appreciated about you is you guys have traveled a lot and you have a lot, but like your parents have always been the most humble people, and they've given outside of the public eye. And I think that's so important, is if you have things, be good stewards of it and don't let it be a let me do this for other people.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say something now, but I literally forgot.
Pathetic.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You literally remembered.
I did right now. Another thing that I was thinking about, we've spoken a lot about shopping secondhand and all that. Quite an interesting thing is it's also harmful. People think like, oh, it's great, now I can shop secondhand and I can just buy whatever I want.
Yes.
But the reality is as well, it's also not good to place so much emphasis on like things. But also when you just think about shopping secondhand, right? And I look at the shops in Observatory, for example, in Cape Town, and the things that are expensive, it's because there's been such a rise in thrifting recently, which is great. Yes. I love it.
But it's a trend now as well.
It's a trend, and it's kind of just gentrifying these places where people who maybe actually needed those secondhand clothes can't get them anymore because people like more middle class or upper class people are going and like, oh, I can just buy however many things I want now.
Yes, exactly.
And like that's also harmful, and it's impacting other people.
Yes.
So you just got to be very careful and mindful.
Exactly. And then another thing, just another area which I think a lot of people get caught in. Well, I think cars, for people who have all the cash dollar in the world. Realistically, do you need more than one car?
No, I really don't get it. And the pollution.
Come on, people.
I don't get anyway.
Let me tune you if you're super rich and listening to this. Do you need more than one car? And then also cell phones.
Yes.
So for me, my mom's always like, why do you need an iPhone, Zara? And yes, it is ridiculously expensive. And ethically, when I think about it, I stop myself from thinking about it. Good old designed in California, made in China.
And cobalt mined in some African country by children.
The joys.
Loved it.
But I genuinely like the iPhone software. I enjoy it. I'm comfortable with the phone. But I don't need the latest iPhone. I will use my phone until it breaks. And realistically, how much value are you placing on a cell phone? And I think what's dangerous about all of this that we're saying is you can get all of these things, but if you're doing it to fill some sort of void in your life, it is never going to make you happy.
Yeah. And another concerning thing, I mean, just speaking about phones now, it's that people are making products to last a lot shorter.
It's a thing. I'm convinced.
But it is a thing.
It's a thing.
Like Apple was even, I think that it was proven that when
they came under
when you got the new software, then it made the phone like not work, or you couldn't get the new software, you couldn't get certain apps because you had an older phone. And that's just completely ridiculous, right? So it's actually like in those cases, like I don't even know what you can do about it because you want something to last. And I mean, my phone does the same thing. I'm always like, it's fine, I can keep it longer than 2 years, but then it just starts not working.
It's a thing. I've experienced it.
So it's completely ridiculous. And it, like the same goes with clothes, houses, whatever. Like things are just not made to last because we've created such a consumerist society.
Yes.
That it's like, oh, they need to buy more things. And I saw a thing about a light bulb the other day. Like when they originally invented light bulbs, they were meant to last for ages, but then nobody was buying light bulbs, and so they were like, well, we just need to make it last a lot shorter.
It's crazy. jerseys of today. I'm wearing a good old cotton on jersey, but it's very thin.
Yeah, you can't.
My grand's jerseys that she's had since before I was born,
they're lovely,
are wonderful, like excellent quality.
Yeah, and you even think about the fact that women's pants don't come with big pockets. It's because they want us to buy bags. And I think the reality is that, like, I mean, obviously men are preyed on as well with different things, but so many industries, makeup, skincare, fashion, they prey on women.
Yes.
Like, and I'm sure, I think it has like historical roots, like being a housewife, wanting to buy the new things for the house, all that kind of stuff. But it's just wild. And like we fall into the trap all the time.
Even like the promotion of health is becoming expensive. Like certain healthy foods or products, like it's expensive, and it's like,
just eat your vegetables.
Yes, I'm trying to like be healthy, which is a good thing, but now I have to spend money to do so, which is not logically
it's nonsense.
Normal.
So, I mean, like, you really do get, I mean, I get quite a rush when I get something that I want.
Yes, I also do. And like, I actually wanted to ask your thoughts on, what do you think of retail therapy?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a thing? Should it be a thing?
It's definitely a thing. Should it be a thing? I don't know. I think it also just encourages reckless spending.
I think retail therapy with a decent budget. Yes. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Like, I will spend this amount of money today, and that is not irresponsible.
Like, genuinely, I won't shame anyone for shopping, you know, buying things that they want to, because you can do whatever you want. But once again, just be mindful. Do I need this? Is it going to last me a long time?
Yes.
Will I want it in the future?
I think,
you know, if it's just something that's like, oh, this looks great to me right now, then maybe don't. And if you can't, like, just going back to clothing, if you can't imagine yourself wearing it with like a bunch of different outfits, then just
what's
don't.
The point?
There really is no point.
Yes.
Because then you're going to think, oh, I have this really nice top, but I have nothing that I can wear with it, so I need to go buy more things that I can wear with the top.
Exactly.
It's dumb.
Exactly. And I think, again, it all comes down to just knowing that these things are temporary.
They are.
Like, they're not going to matter in the long run. Like, you can have all the things in the world and still be the most unhappy person.
And it's been proven time and time again.
Exactly. So, yeah, guys, just be, as you said, just be mindful and know that, you don't need
your worth is not in things. You know? It's not like the people around you.
Exactly.
In your spirituality, in Jesus Christ, if you are a Christian. And you don't need to impress anyone.
No.
Like, stop doing things to impress other people.
Yeah. Agreed. I think that's all we have to say.
Indeed.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and this new scenery. Unless you're listening and it's always the same on Spotify. I hope you enjoy.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Yes, and if you know any amazing local brands that you want us to promote and that we can check out, let us know.
Indeed.
Yes.
Like and subscribe.
Exactly.
All the things.
See you guys.
Bye.